Hi, welcome to Chaz Speaks, where I speak on things relating to politics, motivation, culture, and motivation. And today I have George and I have back Ian, and I just wanted to get them together to just talk about their journey here in America. George is from Cameroon, and Ian is from Grenada. I think I said that right. And I
Yeah.
just wanted to talk to them about how they found success and their journey and what their thoughts on maybe the African American community here, what they've experienced here, the government system there versus here. But before we get into that, please remember to share, like, and subscribe. If you'd like to support my channel, my PayPal is at the bottom, as well as my Teespring store. So without further ado, okay, let's get into this. So George, just give us a quick synopsis of where you're from and what you do for a living.
Yes, hi. So I'm George. I'm currently residing in Dallas. I mean, with the COVID, we work from home, so that's where I'm at the moment. But professionally, I am an engineer by training. Just most recently, I took on an engineering management role in one of the big technology firms, and that's what I've been doing for the past few years now. Trained as an engineer. I have a couple of degrees in business as well as a master's in law. And I'm interested in just about anything. I love speaking to people, talking to people. I love touching on different subjects. So I make sure to keep up with what's happening around me, just so I can feel very comfortable carrying a conversation with just about anybody. And yeah, I met Chaz, and we've been talking about politics, religion, relationship. So it's been a really good experience, getting to know her, getting to know some of her guests, getting to share ideas, and just getting to kind of talk about how we can make things better for people who look like us, right? So that has been, one of my goals ever since I understood that, some of the things that I did not get when I first moved to this country in 2003, things such as mentoring, I never got that. And once I understood the power of mentoring, I always made it a point, to be that mentor to people which I see potential in, people who want it, right? Because I always wanted it, but I just never had somebody to show me the way. So it happened for me just kind of by accident. So again, I make it a point to reach out to people when I see the potential and try to show them the way. So, to kind of give them a shortcut, right? To get them to avoid making the mistakes that I made, to get where I'm at.
All right, thanks, George. And Ian, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm from Grenada originally, Chaz, and I moved here to go to undergrad school. So I've been here since then, and my first degree is in Bible, of all things. I thought I was going to be a minister, but while I went to Bible school, I went to seminary, and I decided, nope, that's not what I want to do. And so I became a teacher. And I taught for a little while, and then I decided that's not what I really want to do. Why don't I do what I really want to do? So I went back to law school, and I've been practicing ever since for the last 25 years. Practiced with a little boutique firm for the first couple of years, and then I went it on my own, because that was the goal all along, just to work for me, not for someone else. Because in my philosophy of thinking, the way to success in most cases is to be your own boss. Now, Georgia has a nice gig with a big company that lets you be in a position where you can be a semi-boss and do things with a group. So even that will work too, if you're very skilled in a technical way. Tech has changed the landscape in a lot of ways. But when I was looking at it, I thought, let me be my own boss. And I have not regretted that. I don't have to jump to the tune to anyone. And George talked also about mentoring. I had no mentors really. In Bible I did, because in Bible school I met lots of people who mentored me in Greek and Hebrew and in theology. So I have lots and lots of mentors, and there's some fantastic, great scholars in that area. But when I decided to get into law, very, very few mentors. And what I do now is I mentor a lot of, I'm not afraid to say it, black young people who are lawyers so that they can do their own practice. Many people who intern for me now have their own practices, doing well, and I still mentor even now. And just like you, I never had anyone mentor me in law. I just had to watch and learn and use my own learning skills to get to where I am. But I don't mind. I'm not mad. I still made it. But in law school, I started studying civil rights law because I was a very radical person, black radical. And so I started learning civil rights law. And there I saw in my civil rights law textbook that the Democrats controlled Jim Crow and passed all the Jim Crow laws. And I'm going like, well, am I seeing this right? And then the book I'm reading it in is written by Derek Bell, who's a big-time Democrat and the leading scholar on civil rights from Harvard. He died a few years ago. So I thought, no, it has to be right. A Democrat wouldn't be saying this if it wasn't true. And so my research began to look and to see what's really going on here. This organization, this party that I thought was for black people, is the one that was doing all the wrong things to black people. And how did we get into this party? And so that's how my journey started.
Okay, so there's a lot of talk right now how racist America is. So where y'all are from, if y'all heard that, what made y'all want to come to America? Because apparently America is like the most racist country ever.
George?
I would say opportunities, right? The lack of opportunities is where we come from. And strange enough, we are in the information age, right? So someone in Africa, whatever happens in America, people are aware. People hear about it right away. And I still keep contact. I'm still in contact with some of my friends from back home. And funny enough, some of them hear about, all the, the shootings, the police shootings and all that stuff. And they talk about, all, black people, being oppressed and pretty much everything you hear people talk about now. And coming from where we come from, where everybody is black, right? But the way we treat each other is worse than anything you can ever see here in America. Yet they want to talk to me about racism. So whenever they start talking about it, I just remind them that you know about tribalism, right? Where we're from. Like literally people are hating each other just because they're from a different tribe. They look the same. They speak the same language. I mean, the same official language. We have our own, native, tongues, languages. But just because you're from the tribe next door, you hate this person. You don't want to give this person any opportunity. You want to keep everything within your tribe, within your family. Yet, for some reason, because you have access to information, you start adopting that speech pattern that I see here, right? I even have people from, that moved from Cameroon to here that came here. They were all about hustling. But now all they talk about is racism, and I tell them, look, sure, there is racism. I'm not going to say that there is none. But you cannot tell me right now that it is a major issue in your life in America. Because if it were, I encourage you to go home. I would actually pay for a ticket to go home. And you can quickly see how the conversation changes, right? And it just has to do with the media. Because people don't realize that the media actually gets you used to thinking a certain way. They get you to adopt a certain way of thinking that is not yours. That is totally foreign, right? I can understand that somebody who is born in America, who was raised here, who has the culture from here, thinks about it that way. But to me, it's outrageous to see a foreigner coming to this country and start thinking that way. That racism, that you have these white men who's trying to stop you from doing everything. You have this person always, looking for excuses to keep you on your knees. I'm like, no, we weren't born on our knees. We we're born not even on our knees, like laying down flat on our bellies. You come to America, despite everything that's happening, you still make it. I mean, having a car, having a house, being able to feed yourself, this is a privilege where, what we come from. So I don't want to hear when I hear people talk about, racism and all that stuff, especially when we know that where we're from, we actually treat each other worse. And there's not a single white person to, anywhere near us. So guess I don't remember what your question was. I kind of went on a tangent, but I guess that's what I have to say about that.
What about you, Ian? Why did you want to come over here, hearing about all the racist people here and how America hated black people and all that kind of stuff?
Well, I have to say it has not been as virulent as now. Now it's a more concerted effect to entrench the Democrat Party by using that rhetoric. But the rhetoric of racism was always there. But alongside it was the rhetoric of opportunity. So you heard about racism, but you heard about opportunity. And you had the powerful example of the people who came from, in my case, mostly New Yorkers, who came from New York to visit, and they dress better than you, they look better than you, they got more money than you, they look shiny on you, and you got more, oh, excuse me. So you know that there is some sort of opportunity there, racism or not. So you're not focusing on the quote-unquote racism, you're focusing on the opportunity. And that's what makes people come from all over the world to America.
Right.
Not the racism or the lack thereof, but the opportunity that is very visible for anyone. And so that's one issue. I was listening to George talk, and we don't have that much tribalism where I come from, but you still have divisions, political divisions. One party is not talking to the other party, and they hate the other one. And when I was going to grad school, I had two friends from Kenya, my eye-opener, and two really nice people. She was a very nice girl, and he was a very nice guy. And then they started talking to me about loneliness and all of that. And I said, you know what? I know another Kenyan, and you guys should get together. And then she said to me, what are you talking about? Him? I know him. He's Luau. That's Kikuyu. You think I'm going to ever marry him? And I was like, what? It was like a shock to me.
Yeah.
But over time, I've studied it, that these two people who look almost the same, I can't tell any difference, knew the difference between themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're going to worry about racism here, white people are going to be white people. They look different from us. That's their business.
Right.
I don't care about that, because when I came to America, white people helped me. You might even call some of them racist, but by some of the things, the statements that they said in ignorance. Like one asked me, do they wear grass skirts in Grenada? You can call that racist, or you can call it ignorant. So I looked at my job from then is to educate. And I educated him. We're friends to this day. I told him, no, it's a completely different system.
Right.
And he was a help to me all through undergrad school. So it's how you approach people. Do you take that, as Americans like to say, that lemon and make lemonade with it? Or do you take it raw and put it on your tongue and let it pucker your face up? And that's what we're doing. You have a choice with situations. How do you react to a situation? And yes, racism is there, but I see racism on both sides. Black people are very racist to white people also. But that's their business. I don't care about that. What I care about is, even if you may have certain thoughts and I have certain thoughts, can we still meet, learn, educate? And that's how people advance together, not by emphasizing the faults of others, because love covers up a multitude of faults. So that's my thing. And when I came here, I was looking for opportunity. And who had the opportunities were white people. I wasn't going to antagonize them. They had the opportunities mostly, and they gave me in spades.
Yep.
And without white people, I couldn't make it. I had white theological professors who took me under the wing and taught me, so I know so much about Bible and theology, which was my primary goal at the time. I wanted to learn about that stuff. So I don't look at it that way. And with my interaction with them, they then in turn start becoming less negative about black people. Mm-hmm. And in one of my classes, it's how you think about things. One of my classes, economics, I was the only black in my class. And and these were conservative people, and they're all students talking about how, it's not fair, people should be equal and treated equal and so on, and all of that. And I usually talk a lot in class because I like to discuss, but this one, I just listened to them in amazement. And coming about 5 minutes to the end of the class, I put my hand up and I said, well, I don't agree. Now, I'm the only black guy in the class. And I said, because I don't think people are equal, because I look around this room, I don't see anybody equal to me. And they just die laughing. They got the point. You can't worry about equality and less of equality. It's a matter of opportunity and achievement.
Right.
And the black community needs to move from worrying about equality to worrying about superiority.
Yeah.
We take an area of American life and we become superior. Manufacturing or sports or whatever you want to do. Superior. Because if you look at what Marcus Garvey did in places like Harlem, what they did was they created their own businesses. And they were superior businesses. People would come from all over to go to Harlem. So that's what we should be focusing on, not equality, but superiority, not over other people, but over ourselves, mastery of ourselves in a certain area of life.
Right. That's good, Mia, because everyone I talked to that came here, whether it's from whatever country, whether it's from El Salvador, Mexico, Africa, India, whatever, they say the same thing: opportunity.
Yeah.
They see the opportunity and they will do whatever they can to get over here. And when you do it legally, it's not that cheap to come over here. But they said that the price is worth it because they know when they come over here, especially in the living conditions that they have, they said being poor in America is like being a rich man in their home.
Yes.
And so every one of these people say opportunity, but black people over here say that there's no opportunity. What do y'all say to that?
I guess it's one of those things that just kills me, right? Because I call myself the peasant, and some of you know why. Professor Glenn Loury, there is this rant that he goes on, and he talks about the way black people in America treat each other, and then he talks about those of us that come from abroad. He calls us those peasants that come from abroad and see opportunity everywhere. They see the gold that's laying on the ground, and they just pick it up. And that's the reason I tell myself, yes, I'm one of those peasants. Because when I came here, I struggled for a while. But I struggled and I put up with it because I could see the end of the tunnel. I knew that there was something good at the end. I went to engineering school. I worked 3 jobs. I slept 2 hours per night in my car sometimes in the snow of Michigan, waiting to deliver the newspaper. But I knew that if I finished school, I finished engineering school, my life was going to be good. So I put up with it. I never quit, right? And so when I hear people say there is no opportunity, even today, especially with all the opportunities that there are. I can give you a simple example. I did my MBA with my wife. We went to the University of Notre Dame, right? She had just moved here from France. We had our first kid, we're having a long distance relationship. So she joined me here with the kid, and she had a hard time finding a job. We're not too sure why, but we decided, why don't you go to school? So she decided that she's going to do an MBA. I figured, why not? I'm going to do that with you. And we did a 1-year accelerated program. So we started in the summer with the intent of finishing the next summer. And there is this organization called the National Black MBA Association that has an annual convention with a career fair. So you literally have a black association that has an annual convention in which top companies go in to hire black people. So we want to talk about opportunity. We have the National Society of Black Engineers. Same thing. You literally have companies making it a point to reach out to black people And what happened with my wife? She could barely speak English, but she went to that conference, and some like the CFO of this pretty decent company, actually a pretty big energy company, saw her during the day. He invited us to dinner. I couldn't stay because I had an interview at some other company the next day. But by the time I got to my hotel in the other city, I called her and she tells me, guess what? I say, what? She said, I got a job. I say, what do you mean you got a job? You see, the CFO invited us to dinner, and then this HR person pulled me on the side and said, you know what? He really likes you. You got a job. We don't know yet what you're going to do, but, you know, you got a job. And I was like, wow. You know, just like that. I mean, people talk about lack of opportunity, and it's not even as though they were really doing her a favor. I'm going to assume that she had a good conversation with them. I mean, she managed to speak some English, right? But I'm sure they probably saw something in her. And if you know what, right, we better secure this person. We better get her before somebody else does.
I bet you these people were white.
Actually, yeah, all of them. Yeah, they were all white. You know, and then she was a superstar at her job. I mean, and that's a company that only hired, I mean, at the VP and CEO, CFO, they hired Harvard people only. All of the directors were from the University of Chicago. And then she was this person, and they only hired people from those schools. And she was the one from Notre Dame. People used to ask her, how did you get here? You know, but, you know, she just, you know, she presented herself well. She showed that, you know, she was, you know, she could bring something to the table. And they saw it and they figured, you know what, we better secure this person before she talks to anybody else. And that's how even before she started her MBA, she already had a job, right? And I talk about the National Society of Black Engineers. I mean, I've been part of so many Black organizations where there are opportunities. So you literally have companies making it the point to come out and hire you if you just put up with school. If you finish school, you have it, right? I am in tech. In tech right now, we're begging people to get it. We're begging Black people to get into tech. Like literally, we're begging people. You cannot come out of a tech training being Black and not get a job. We're literally begging for people. I mean, as you know, President Trump, he's been talking about the H-1B visas that he wants to limit because we bring people from abroad to do jobs that we can do here. But because it's a little tougher, people don't always put up with it. Right? They don't put up with it. You ask them to put up, they ask you to shut up. Right? That's what they say. You know, there are jobs, there are opportunities, especially when you're Black. They say, wow, you have all the degrees, you have the experience. They beg you to join their company. You know? So, I mean, that whole thing about lack of opportunity, I mean, I've seen it a different way. Again, as I mentioned earlier, maybe it has to do with the fact that I wasn't born here. So that mindset was not ingrained in my brain that, you know, somebody's always against me. Somebody's always thinking about, maybe they always have an ulterior motive in their mind. Me, I just see that somebody literally begging you to take on all these things. And when you think about it, there was an article in 2017, I believe, that came out that said that 49% of Howard University's graduates in medicine, I think, like med school, were from Nigeria. Right? And that's just Nigeria. This is a historically Black college and university, right? But for almost 50% of the grads were from Nigeria. Not even from Ghana yet. We haven't even gotten into Ghana, Grenada, Cameroon, Guinea, just Nigeria. And we're talking about an HBCU. So that tells you what? That tells you that those Black people that are not originally from America come here and they can smell the blood. It's like a shark. Like you can smell the blood and they go for it. And I say it not, I'm not even speculating. I know that for a fact. Because obviously I have, the communities that I hang out with from Cameroon, from Nigeria. I had this set of friends from Nigeria when I lived in Iowa. One of them, he had dedicated a room in his house for people to study. Because the company we worked at paid for your education, right? Your MBA, your master's. So literally, whenever I went there, there was always at least 2 to 3 people in there studying. All of them got their MBAs from that room, financed by the company. And as soon as they graduated, they got another job in the big, in Chicago. Chicago was the closest big city. Because they could see what the opportunity that was there. They could see that a good school, University of Iowa, they were looking to bring some diversity. So guess what? we check the box. You black, you African descent. We check the box. We know who those opportunities are for, right? We know that stuff. We may not talk about it, but we know what it's about. But at the same time, if the person this is meant for doesn't see it, it actually complains about not seeing it. Guess what? The people who see it are going to grab onto it. You know, they're going to grab those opportunities and they're going to run with it. And that's exactly what's happening in America right now.
Ian, what about you? Have you heard there's no opportunities?
Well, it would be hard to tell me that because all I see is opportunities. I just wish I could live like 5 or 6 different lives to take advantage of 5 or 6 different avenues of opportunities.
Yes.
You know, and even though I look back at life and I'm thinking, you know what, that was an opportunity I missed there also. So some you see, some you miss, some you wish you can go back to, some you wish you can split yourself into several personalities to grab some of them. But and only in America. Only in America. You know, I have a client who worked in America, black lady. She worked as a dumpster, you know, the garbage truck driver. She started as a garbage lady, then moved up to the driving, bought a house when she was younger with that, working for the government. And then she today, she's worth over $1 million just doing that job in America. Only in America.
Or
huh?
Did she invest or did she?
No, just a house. She bought a house for maybe $100,000 30 years ago, and now the house alone is worth $800,000. And then her savings and whatnot. Over $1 million. This is America.
Yep.
There's no other country in the world, not Canada, because I've been there extensively. I have friends over there. I have friends from Grenada who are way smarter than me in Canada and can't achieve what I achieve here.
Right.
I mean, they're way smarter than me. People I look up to growing up. They're in Canada. No, they're not going to make it. I have friends I grew up with in England. England is a rough, racist place.
Yep.
Really?
All of Europe is rough, racist. Don't let them tell you anything different. But that's their business if they want to be racist. I don't focus that much on racism. It's there. I've experienced it. For example, I tell the story when I first go into a new court and they've never seen me before, and I go behind the bar. That little gate you go by behind, closer to the judge, they call it behind the bar, and the sheriff would come to me and say, "Sir, what are you doing back here?" And I would say, "It depends on the situation. Sometimes I get a little pissed with them, or just be calm, depends on the situation. I came to check on my client." And he'd be like, oh, some of them might say, "Well, let me see your bar card." Yeah, I'll show you my bar card. And I'll go in front of the judge and I'll beat up on the judge, I'll beat up on the prosecutor. And then when I come back next time, he says, "Oh, Mr. Noel, come on, what do you need?" So it's not that racism doesn't exist. It's whether you go home crying about it or whether you beat it. Whether you make the world a better place by letting them know that's a waste of time,
right?
Or you're making them know, hey, I defeat him, I beat that black guy, I push him down, and take his spirit down. No way, that's not happening with me. So, but George said something so important. Black kids here are socialized from the time they're young to think the white man is against you, the system is against you, you can't make it, or if you're going to make it, you have to work 10 times harder, which is baloney. You just have to work the same way anybody else is working.
Right.
So when you have that, the whole socialization process is horrible for black young people. Imagine you had a child, and you tell the child, you can't make it. The system is against you. You can't do that. You can't do that. And they're hearing that not just in the micro sense in some cases, because I'm sure you two would not tell your kids that, but they're hearing it in the macro sense, on television, on attitudes of different people, on teachers, the low expectations of teachers. See, one plus I had growing up, my teachers never let me get away with, no, you're just smart boy, you better do it. And I was lazy back then, you know, so, yeah, it's the expectation level for black kids as opposed to the excuse level. If that gets fixed, and if the expectation level goes up and the excuse level goes down, you see blacks performing even better. But the Democrat Party will never let that happen because that's their ticket to black votes. The lower expectation level and the higher excuse level.
It's like the bigotry of low expectation. Yes. And this is what I tell people. This is what I tell my kids. I said, look, there's someone that not like you for whatever reason, your color, your height, your hair, whatever. Get over it. That no one in this world owes you anything. And I always tell them, I said, if God is for you, who can be against you? If you go and apply for a job and you're attired right and talk right, whatever, and you don't get it, maybe that wasn't for you. It's not always about racism. And even if it is about racism, then God has something else for you. If it's for you, then it's going to be for you. But a lot of times, a lot of people have a chip on their shoulder and they don't know how to interview. They don't know how to really talk in the interview, what to wear to the interview, or how really to like follow up after or whatever, or know that they can go get the education. And this is, you know, life is simple.
I haven't interrupted you all evening, but I want to do one thing here to add one thing.
Uh-huh.
I've come to the point where I don't think only about an interview, but I think the biggest thing that the black community needs to learn is how to start up a company.
Yes, and that's what and people get mad at me because I say, I don't push my kids to go to a 4-year university. Those are indoctrination systems. Unless they're going for like something that y'all went for or like a doctor or something like that, then go. But like my daughter, she's only 10 right now, but I don't look forward to her going to a 4-year university and coming back saying she hates men and she hates this and, you know, she wants to, you know, come home looking like a boy or whatever. You know, you send your child off to these education systems, even the regular school system one way, and they come home a whole total different way. And this guy was saying in this group, how can we improve the black community? How can we get rid of the wealth gap? And I said, there's like 4 things simple things that you can do. 1 is finish school. 2 is don't have a baby out of wedlock. 3 is get married before you have a baby and then get a skill, get a trade, get some type of education. Doesn't necessarily have to be a 4-year degree. And he's like, it's not that. It's a little bit more complicated. I said, it's not complicated. I said, because when you do have a child outside of wedlock, then you usually, unless you have parents that are rich, you're beholden to the government. I was a single mom. But I put myself through college. I got my degree because I did not want to live in poverty. And so I almost had a nervous breakdown going to school full time with 3 little boys and going and working full time. But I was like, you know, like Les Brown says, you got to be hungry. I was hungry. I was like, I don't want to be poor. I don't want to live in that where you come home and the lights are off, or, you know, you have to go out there and fix the water to make it turn on or whatever. Or, you know, just having to sit in the food stamp office with those people and their bad kids. But I just knew what I wanted. I knew that, you know, my life hadn't turned out the way that I wanted it, but it didn't have to stay the way that it was. And I worked hard. I worked hard to get to where I am. And I tell people, I say, I may not be where I want to be, but I'm sure not where I was. And I'm not going to let anyone tell me. And that's why, like with government programs, you can only make so much. They want to be intricately involved in your business. They want to know everything about you, and it limits you. But some people are happy to be on that government system.
Well, I would use the word satisfied.
Right.
Yeah.
I was actually going to say they give you enough to exist.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're not happy, they're satisfied.
And it's like what we call it mailbox money. And then like even you're just like, if you get pregnant, automatically they tell you, hey, go sign up for WIC, go sign up for Medicaid, go sign up for this. Don't get married. He can still live with you, but if the man is going to keep you from getting all of these benefits. And I think that that's a lot going on in the Black community. We have over, I think it's 2018 said that about 67% of all Black children are born outside of wedlock.
Wow.
And probably now it's even more. But I kind of weak for my culture because a lot of people, we make excuses. Like that one, it's not as simple as that. It is simple. We have to start taking accountability for our actions. We have to start looking at not just the system, but at our decisions, because as long as we blame the system, and the Democratic Party is the biggest, like I had to tell someone, I said, if you want to know why America has not been great for Black people, you need to go look at the Democratic Party. And then they didn't respond. But we also have to, once we see what we're doing and see that it's a perpetual cycle, then it's up to us to break that cycle, whether it is not voting for the Democratic Party, whether it's changing up and saying, you know what, I'm going to wait till I get married to have babies, or I'm going to go to school. Some people have already made those decisions and say, take stock of their life and say, what can I do better? I do not have to live in poverty. Poverty doesn't have to be a part of my life. And America is the place. Like I tell people, I said, you can't go anywhere else and be born on a dirt floor and then rise up to live in a mansion.
Right.
It is hard pressed unless you're some,
And in America, you can do the reverse also. You can be born in a mansion, end up on a dirt floor.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not in corrupt countries. They keep their power.
Right. So we're going to stop right here, part one, and then we're going to come back again and we're going to finish the discussion.